What's going on, y'all? We're back with another one. We got why we still don't really know who's good at football. Entanglement analysis. I'm gonna be yapping, so y'all be prepared for it. Give me y'all statements, debates, opinions in the comment section. I watched probably like the first minute of this video. It looked interesting. The thumbnail looked interesting. Shout out to Michael McKelvey. I hope I said that correctly. But let's check this out.
This is Sam Darnold. This is also Sam Darnold. There's this Sam Darnold too. Oh, and there's this Sam Darnold too.
And when we got here, I had a feeling like I knew what direction he was going.
This Sam posted a 32.9 QBR and was tossed to the streets by the Jets.
Everybody rips Mark Sanchez, but how's he look compared to Sam Darnold?
This Sam got a little better, but was benched again.
I will never be sold on him as a franchise quarterback.
This Sam didn't even get a chance. And then there's this Sam, a playoff quarterback nearly doubling his QBR.
Darnold getting messy, going deep. He's got Jefferson.
Sam Darnold. I mean, he is unbelievable.
How was it that this man went from New York's trash to this man, a $40 million a year quarterback? Sam, but different. So I have been obsessed with this problem for a long time now. We know a player's performance in football is never just his performance. Visible strands connecting him to them. But in 2016, something changed in the NFL. And recently, teams and front offices.
Now, my initial thought process, got to this part, I stopped. My initial thought process is that he's going to go over the thought that, there are a lot of good players in the NFL, but a lot of them are just not in the right situation. A player can be called trash. He could be looked at as bad, but in the right situation, all that goes away. He's a good player, and he is a good player. There's a lot of good players, but we don't get to see it because the fit is not correct. I don't know if that's the full synopsis of this video, but
we're beginning to see the game in a completely new way. The division of credit, arguably the biggest challenge that NFL teams face today. Let's explore. Let's start with our elements. We have our coaches, our offense, our defense, the special teams, the front office, and, well, all the other elements. Market, media, the somewhat radioactive girlfriends, the highly radioactive ex-girlfriends, extended family, that can be dangerous at times, and other shit.
Bro, take that as a microcosm to life, bro. It's so many elements in life that can affect how you're doing at your job, in your life. And some of them you have control over, and you can remove them. Be aware of that. That G one, that was very interesting one, man. You got control over a lot of that.
I'm sure there's other stuff. There's probably other stuff out there. All of these elements make up an NFL team. Let's start with the Giants for example purposes. After a 2022 postseason win, the Giants re-signed Daniel Jones. He was on fire. Oh, that didn't last long. Let's get the other elements going here. We have our right tackle here. Wide receivers. Now this one is highly radioactive. We'll dim the lights to take a look at it. Our EX element, danger.
X.
Our coaches here. Of course, defense.
Daniel Jones has some female problems.
Let's not forget our running back, Saquon. Mix this all together and we get our 2023 Giants. Now, if we extract one of these elements, we can see his stats fairly easily. In 2023, Saquon was 16th in rushing yards. Of course, we know that this is not the best measurement of a man. How about the coveted yards per carry? 37th. That's not good. Now, you and I both know a running back is a byproduct of his system, entangled primarily with his offensive line. Let's look at another beloved metric then, Yards after contact. I mean, this guy's just so athletic. We've seen him squat. We've seen his balance. Oh, it was 40 in 2023.
He cooking right
How
now.
about EPA? 41st for running backs. 6 seasons in for a running back, he's well past his half-life here. But just for fun, let's try placing him with a different team. Saquon in the Eagles erupted, breaking the 2,000-yard rushing barrier, beating the unbeatable Chiefs en route to a Super Bowl. One of the greatest seasons for a running back ever. Now, in hindsight, maybe you feel as though this was predictable. Saquon's rise. He just needed a good offensive line. Well, a large part of the media believed that New York was doing the right thing by letting Saquon walk, and the NFL seems to be telling us that running backs aren't that valuable via the contracts they get. He was drafted outside of most first rounds, including my fantasy league. So clearly, the public, the media, and myself, damn it, I should have drafted him, did not predict this. What are we supposed to expect? How about an untangled web browser? In that,
Man. Oh, he's going into an ad. That was a nice transition. I paused at the right time. Number one, Saquon. I don't think anybody expected him to do that. To be in his first season there. It's so crazy how we see these, and it's somewhat predictable. But we see these things. Tom Brady first year with the Buccaneers, Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford first year with the Rams, Super Bowl. Saquon first year with the Eagles, almost breaks the rushing record, Super Bowl. Like, there are obvious plug and play players where you put these guys on the right team, match, right situation, success. But I don't think anybody expected Saquon to play that well. But you know what? Honestly, I think only reason why the expectation wouldn't be there is because his injury history. So the expectation would not have been for him to play every single game. But even with the all the statistics he listed of Saquon with the Giants, I think running backs, you can never judge a running back off of stats. You can't judge them off of yards after contact. Like you said, you can't judge them off of a single stat. It's the eye test. Because all of these other components are there. It's so many other components that play into this person's success, which everybody's gonna look at them as trash. But if you take this player and put them on another team in a right situation, everybody gonna be saying, "Oh, he's elite, he's great, he's the greatest, he's the best. This is the top such and such guy." You know what I mean? But running backs for sure, eye test, man. That's one position you because it's predominantly a position played off of athleticism. Predominantly, running back is not super skill work like some other positions.
he's Opera. This video is sponsored by Opera. Inspired.
I use Opera. I'm not using it right now, but I use Opera.
All sports are entangled in some way. How will LeBron and Luka gel? How will Messi and Neymar work together? Even in baseball, a game fought in isolation, it is still a labyrinth. But football is the most unusual. We all stare at our fantasy board in August, neatly ranked, and draft a team that we feel pretty good about. Then by the end of the season, it's often a completely different team and different sentiment. Front offices clearly struggle too, and that's because there is a uniqueness to football. We Americans take this for granted. Unlike any other major sport, every play is
Bro, I know y'all not the only ones that think this as football fans. Some teams do some of the dumbest things, bro. Like, but again, it's a business, so I can't even like be mad at it. So there's always something behind the scenes going on with the decisions.
carefully scripted and countlessly rehearsed in concert. Then,
H2 chip.
chaos. Back to the script, a new dance is called.
That's right. Ice cream.
Then,
He gets blasted.
lots of players interacting in a very short period of time. It can be difficult to discern who should be doing what, and importantly, who is good. One key change is helping untangle this mystery.
All NFL teams and fans will now have the chance to track players' action in real time.
Introduced in 2016 to NFL teams, player tracking allows an organization to do something any business seeks: measure performance. Speed, movement, acceleration. Player tracking is a window into the game that we never had. All 22 dudes running around with little chips. It's the foundation of many advanced stats. With enough data and massaging, ideally a model can be built to determine something crucial in player evaluation: expectations.
So tracking data when it first came out, I think no one really knew what to do with it.
That's Adam Vonderhaar, a former research analyst with the Cowboys who is now with Sumer Sports, an analytics consulting firm hired by many NFL teams.
It seemed really cool. It was basically the location of all the players on the field every 10th of a second. And that's very valuable because that's a level of granularity that we had never had before that. But in 2020, I believe, the challenge put out there by the Big Data Bowl was to create a rushing yards over expected model. This is really extending the philosophy of EPA, which is given a particular context, establish an expectation, and then see how much people perform above and beyond that.
How does one evaluate rushing expectation? Well, one way might be pausing the play at the moment of the handoff, looking at the XY coordinates of all the players, and assessing how many yards that ball carrier gains based on where everybody's at.
And if you have a good model there that is generally right,
That
when
was a good
players
run.
exceed that, you want to say that they're probably doing something unique.
Unique is in helpful to a team, hopefully in finding something crucial: true performance. A Grand Canyon is forming in this play that a lot of running backs would be successful with. Far different than this play.
Here's a toss and what a play.
Ideally, an expectation model like this helps us untangle a variable, in this case, the offensive line, from the running back. This is exactly why you knew he was great. You and I both know he's got that dog in him. All he needed was an offensive line, which is why his rushing over expected with the Eagles, it was second overall. Removing him from that offensive line, he was...
That's interesting. So the stat tells you how much they're expected. Rushing over expected 1.61 yards. Tells you how much they're expected to get per play. And if they get over that, I'm assuming however much they get over that, but everybody's expected to get more than a yard per play. Am I wrong? Many guys average 3 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry.
With the Eagles, it was second overall. Removing him from that offensive line, he was second overall, which is why when we look at his rushing over expected with the Giants, he was 22nd overall. Wait, that's not that good. Why was his rushing yards over expected drastically different with the Eagles than the Giants? I thought this was supposed to account for these differences, and we'd see Saquoning. He's always been his 2024 self. He just had a bad offensive line. Why are these expected numbers so different? Undoubtedly, Saquon has always been an elite athlete. We all know that, but there wasn't a single signal to suggest that he would be this much better. And that's because Saquon is a different Saquon with the Eagles. Imagine for a moment the Giants did offer him $1.5 million more, allegedly the number that was needed to bring him back to the Big Apple. What Saquon would we have seen over that same 6-month period? I'm not suggesting a full-blown multiverse here, but besides just saying his offensive line was better in Philly, which is obvious, we don't really know what makes him that much better in Philly than in New York. He was exploding more. He was dodging more tackles. He was a different person. Now, this is just one element. Let's see if we can find more understanding elsewhere. What if we look at other positions? Let's move away from the line of scrimmage to our diva, our wide receivers. Person. Now, this is just one element. Let's see if we can a
Okay, so I wanted more of a breakdown on this. I mean, if you got it in the video, awesome. But it says RYOE. This is an advanced NFL stat developed by Next Gen Stats that measures how many rushing yards a ball carrier gained compared to what was expected on the play. So I'm curious, do they track this? Like, do they have the official ranking for the stat at the end of the season? You know, like to rank Saquon 22nd with the Giants. Did he only go 0.17 over? Oh, here it goes. Let's read. Keep reading. How it works. At the moment of handoff, tracking data from player location, speed, blocking, leverage, defender positioning is used to calculate the expected yards to run your game. The actual rushing yards are compared to this expectation. RYOE equals the actual yards minus the expected yards. So it's the actual yards minus the expected yards. A running back gets the ball and based on blocking and defender positioning is expected to gain 3 yards. He breaks a tackle and gains 10. His RYOE is +7. If he had only gained 1 yard, his RYOE would be -2. Okay, let's ask this question. So is RYOE tracked at the end of the season or for rankings? Do you determine a player's RYOE overall ranking at the end of the season, or is that like a week by week thing?
Absolutely. RYOE can be tracked in both ways. Typically, analysts and sites that use RYOE will update it on a week-by-week basis throughout the season, so you can see how a running back is performing compared to expectations each game. But at the end of the season, you'll definitely find overall rankings that sum up the entire year's RYOE. That gives you a big picture view of which backs consistently outperformed expectations over the entire.
Do you have access to the top 3 running backs in RYOE in the 2024 season?
So I couldn't find the exact top 3 in terms of pure RYOE for the 2024 season, but I did see that some of the top rushers overall in 2024 were Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and Bijan.
Okay, I kind of get it now, but I feel like the question that I asked was kind of self-explanatory, but I get it now.
different person. Now, this is just one element. Let's see if we can find more understanding elsewhere. What if we look at other positions? Let's move away from the line of scrimmage to our diva, our wide receivers. A notable bond exists between a quarterback and his wide receiver. Let's see if we can distill this. For example purposes, let's try and isolate a receiver further. And to do that, we need receivers that have changed teams, that have had different quarterbacks in their prime. And that's somewhat difficult because of the aging curve, but we still have plenty to choose from. Here's the last 4 All-Pros that I found. Tyreek Hill, elite in KC, elite in Miami. Devontae Adams, elite in Green Bay, elite the following year in Las Vegas. Stephon Diggs, elite in Minnesota, elite in Buffalo. DeAndre Hopkins, elite in Houston, and elite in Phoenix. Why is the wide receiver a more stable element? Why does this position have something corporate America would covet? Transferable skills. Focus in on where the receiver is positioned. If this is the epicenter of our chaos, receivers are in the fallout zone. Every time a wide receiver goes one-on-one with a cornerback, it's perhaps the closest thing we have to a controlled experiment in football. We see this in the advanced metrics. For example, average depth of target, ADOT. This is significantly correlated year to year, above 0.7, measuring where a receiver is typically being targeted downfield. Yards per route run, which is correlated and strongly predictive, mainly because it draws from the largest sample size. All routes that a player has run, even plays where they are not targeted. This is above 0.7 each year. And lastly, something surprising.
I've always wondered why is that yards per route run so significant, but I can understand. I can understand it. You know, so it shows how often the receivers actually utilize. You know, versus just being a decoy. I feel like.
Share. So I've been guilty of this, but I think we're quick to discount a receiver that gets a bunch of targets and maybe inflate a receiver that's getting open but not getting that many targets. Likely, there's a reason why a guy is getting a lot of targets and why maybe someone else isn't getting as many. If it's Rodgers and Adams or Kupp and Stafford, the favoritism we might think of, well, maybe the quarterback favors him because he's really good. What's maybe the best case study to show that wide receivers are fairly predictive?
By Randy Moss.
The guy played for 6 different quarterbacks, and look at these graphs and numbers. Truly remarkable. Every single quarterback saw significantly higher rating with Moss. Moss was highly entangled in the success of the quarterback, but untangled in the sense that
Hey, that's crazy. That's a wide receiver can make a QB better. You know, you typically hear it the other way around, but again, this all plays into the argument. You know, a player can be they can be a good player, just not in a good situation.
knew he was elite. There are the special instances like the A.J. Browns, but typically we don't see that much fluctuation in the expectations when a guy moves from one team to another team, unless he's maybe coming off of an injury. But then again, untangling a quarterback from his receiver or a receiver from his quarterback, that is still very difficult. And I think all of us would agree that there is probably some immaterial chemistry there.
Shut your sorry ass up!
All right, flipping to the other side of the ball. Matching up with our wide receivers, we have a celebratory element.
Don't you ever talk about me!
The cornerback. Also isolated in the fallout zone, corners are often on an island. Surprisingly, though, cornerbacks are quite opaque. This seems odd, but think of it this way. How many chances in a game do you have to truly grade a corner? Man-to-man coverage. This maybe happens a handful of times in a game, and even then, we don't know what that corner was supposed to do on that play because we don't know the play call. A far cry from, well, an edge rusher. Understandably, we see more predictability, more reliability with our edge rusher. Relatively speaking, they are the most untangled defensive position because there is somewhat of a binary outcome on a key action, pass rushing. Did you beat your man trying to block me? Or not? As far as stats go, sacks can be volatile. Pressures, time to pressure in wins are fairly stable, as we see here. Let's pause here for a moment. See if you notice a trend. Wide receivers and edge rushers, fairly predictable, fairly untangled. Cornerbacks and running backs, not very predictable, very entangled. How are these 4 positions paid? In almost any market, there is a premium to predictability. That's part of why wide receivers and edge.
I can see that because it's like you take a predominantly zone corner and you put him in a defense that runs predominantly man. He cooked. He won't have as good of a season. He needs to be in the same situation. You take a running back and you put him in a I formation scheme versus a zone scheme. I don't know. And it's not the same, you know, like how the Ravens did with Derrick Henry when they started putting the using the fullback more. Initially they weren't, then they started and things worked out. They got better. I'll say that. But yeah, that's reasonable versus a defensive end. Yes, you get paid for stopping the run as well, but primarily rushing the passer. Get paid off of sacks primarily. Just rush the passer. Get us some sacks. Receiver, it don't matter where you go. It's the same thing. Just get open, catch the ball. You know, the scheme doesn't really matter. You know, to an extent. Obviously, you need everything running smooth on all cylinders, but is other factors affect those 2 positions less. which makes sense.
Rushers have
versus other factors affect cornerback and running back a bit more. Cornerback is interesting though, but I think that's the only thing that really couldn't affect the corner is being placed in the right scheme. Outside of that, though, I mean, I feel like it's pretty simple. You got this guy, that's it, you know. But again, you got it. It is clearer to grade them if you know what coverage they're running.
So costly. Now tackles are still highly valuable.
Parsons led the what? Parsons led the league in win rate every year. Oh wow, what the heck? I didn't know this.
Entangled. How are these four positions paid? In almost any market, there is a premium to predictability. That's part of why wide receivers and edge rushers have become so costly. Now, tackles are still highly valuable and have many plays isolated from the rest of the offensive line, one-on-one, where we can tell, okay, how good are they at pass protection? But the offensive line is a weak link system, so it is highly entangled. For example, a left tackle might have a lower pressure rate if the weak link was on the other side of the offensive line and the defense schemed to attack that more frequently. This O-line is still fairly entangled, and that's part of why the pay hasn't increased for tackles at the rate of receivers or edge rushers.
In our final two defensive positions, life is highly entangled.
The safety and linebacker positions are extremely entangled, extremely difficult to evaluate because we don't really know what they're supposed to be doing every play. These are positions that are coming in and out of run coverage, in and out of pass coverage. They're moving all around. So when you're trying to evaluate them, that's tough. Now, this tracks with a former video that I did that looked at draft correlation and draft success of teams. Linebacker was the biggest wild card.
Some may cite tackles, Bobby Wagner often leading that list. Well, if he was so valuable, why would the Seahawks let him walk in 2023 after leading the league? Yes, he is older, but without getting into it further, this should tell you a lot about tackles being a solidified value metric. At safety and in coverage, it's probably safe to say that players like Kirby Joseph are good.
Intercepted by Kirby Joseph.
But how much of his league-leading interception total is the result of teams being behind and having to take shots against the league-leading Lions? PFF attempts to rank these players, which is commendable given these challenges, but these are more evaluation attempts than predictions, and we know that this result-based approach...
Is he telling me Kirby Joseph was getting garbage time interceptions? Is that what he's saying? Not garbage time, but you know what I mean. Teams being down, so they got to throw the ball, and partially garbage time.
Approach is often very...
You got to take shots and force stuff.
Case in point, Kirby Joseph was ranked 83rd for safeties in 2023 by
That
PFF.
is interesting. See, I don't know this stuff. I was wondering why Kirby Joseph was ranked so low on the top 100, you know?
First in 2024.
Wait.
Very intense rank these. But how much of his league-leading interception total is the result of teams being behind and having to take shots against the league-leading Lions? PFF attempts to rank these players, which is commendable given these challenges, but these are more evaluation attempts than predictions, and we know that this result-based approach is often very entangled. Case in point, Kirby Joseph was ranked 83rd for safeties in 2023 by PFF. He was first in 2024.
Okay.
The original PFF grading system for coverage only looked at plays where players were targeted. Well, when is a cornerback likely to be targeted? Typically when a quarterback believes there's an opportunity. What about plays where a cornerback or safety covers a play well? Well, the quarterback is much less likely to target that individual then.
There are plenty of great features and info from PFF. Apparently some of them are not public, but the predictive power year to year
is much less likely to target that individual then.
There are plenty.
I just wanted to see this list. What they got these safeties ranked as. So Kirby Joseph, according to PFF, was ranked number 1. Kyle Hamilton 2. McKinney 3. Brandon Jones 4. Brandon Jones was ranked 4. Is he still with Denver? Had him and Hufanga. That's kind of nasty. I don't feel like searching it up. Brian Branch 5. Jabril Peppers. Wow. Jabril Peppers is still high up there. Shout out to him. Julian Love 7. Ardarius Washington 29. 80. 8. I'm tripping. Ardarius Washington is 8. If he plays so good, why did they go and draft Malachi Starks? Derwin James 9. Jesse Bates 10. Justin Reed 11.
Of great features and info from PFF. Apparently, some of them are not public, but the predictive power year to year, it's fairly minimal for many of these positions. I mean, if it was public and we had the coaches' reports showing the player grades as well as the scouting reports, we would probably see a correlation there as well. All of this highlights something. It also highlights that we often need to judge these elements by their groups. Even then, there are elements outside of the group that impact things. Most notably, coaches, of course, the quarterback. There's a bit of a paradox to the quarterback position. He's the most important and simultaneously the most dependent. Pressure is the enemy of his performance, and quarterbacks face more of that than any other position in sports. For example, to this day, people will blame the offensive line when a quarterback gets sacked. However, there is reason to believe that sack rate is more personal to the quarterback than circumstantial. That same elite offensive line in Philly, they had the second highest sack rate in the league. Clearly, the offensive line and scheme plays a role, but this is often more correlated to the QB than his team. Nonetheless, quarterbacks are still clearly influenced by their environments. Ben Baldwin looked into this and found that CPOE, completion percentage over expected, though weak, was the most correlated metric. Continuing.
You know what's true though? The quarterback does get a lot of rap for, how bad he is, regardless of how bad the O-line is. The O-line could be terrible. And if the quarterback isn't playing good, they'll talk about him like he's not playing good. But like rarely ever will get a pass that the O-line is bad, we see that with what's his name? David Carr. He's in the top 5 for most sack seasons twice. All time. In the top 5 twice. Who's somebody else? We just seen that with Shador the other day. They were a lot of people blaming Shador for being terrible. Shador had a terrible game. He played bad, but the O-line was trash. 4 of the guys got cut the next day. But yeah, that's an interesting point.
With our Sam example, he saw massive swings in his expectation in each environment. He was negative for many years, then 6th overall in 2024. Yes, he likely improved, but even his expectation results were the product of a different team, different scheme, and different coaches. The role of a coach entangled in a completely different manner. How instrumental is Kyle Shanahan for Brock Purdy's success? Perhaps even more challenging, what about coaches like Dan Campbell of the Lions?
Unbelievable!
The play that immediately comes to mind, Cowboys-Lions a few years ago, the phantom penalty, and then we have the Lions attempting a 2-point conversion from their 7-yard line.
This is aggressive.
But there is not a head coach in the NFL with more bravado than Dan Campbell. And football is a brutal,
Over the middle.
And up and into sport. How contagious is that energy? How do we ever find a way to measure that? I'm not sure we ever will. I guess that's why coaching, it will always be judged on wins and losses. We like to think of ourselves as independent actors, making choices and decisions in a vacuum, but we are forever entangled. The workplace, our relationships, our successes, and our failures, forever knotted with the people and places we've encountered.
Sports are no different. They just put that web on a table for all of us to see and at least imagine. I don't think we'll ever fully appreciate that web, nor do I think we'll understand it. Like Edward Lorenz a few decades ago when looking at weather patterns, having 10x the data, that does not get you 10x closer. One single small infinitesimal change in a chaotic system like football, that's enough to change the story. Hope you enjoyed this video.
That was a good video. Good video. It's funny how he brought it back to being a microcosm of real life. Like, brought it back. And I said that at the beginning, you know, like the outside stuff affects you, you know, at work. Work affects your home life, you know. The choices that you make as an individual will affect your relationship, and it's that in the third, you know what I mean? So it's very, very, very interesting. Shout out to Michael again. Let me get that video a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, man. Who are some players y'all think right now are just not in a good situation? I think Anthony Richardson is one. I think Justin Fields is another one. I think we have not seen Justin Fields with a creative, nice coach. You know what I mean? Like, that's the dude with the Bears. The play calling wasn't the best. The Steelers play calling wasn't the best. I don't know who is the OC with the Jets, but their play calling wasn't the best last year. And if that's the same OC and they're not changing nothing, unfortunately, we're not going to see a huge jump in his game. And Fields will be called mediocre again, or not that great of a quarterback, or, you know, a running back. You know? Who are some other ones? I think Russ, low key, I think Russ can still play, but it's just the NFL. They want to push out vets, you know? Rodgers, I think he can still play, but again, they want to push out vets. And Rodgers is another interesting one because play calling with the Jets wasn't that great last year, but he had some good games. But the Steelers, they're a team with, again, they're not very innovative and creative. I feel like it's stale, in my opinion. Like, watching the Steelers over the years, like, it just looks stale to me. Looks like it's a pretty basic offense, you know? Y'all let me know if that's accurate. But it's a lot of players out there. A lot of players, a lot of running backs who are not in great situations. Quarterbacks, receivers, it's really all over the place when you think about it. But there's only so many spots in the NFL, and you got to take what you can get. That's the unfortunate part right there. You got to just take what you can get and make the best of it. And sometimes even your best may not be good enough because you just don't have the right pieces around you. That's crazy. Like, you could really be great. I.e., an example, Matthew Stafford. You can really be great, but you're not finna touch playoffs. You're not finna touch a Super Bowl. You're not finna do that. You don't got the right pieces around you. And then what do? He left Detroit. Got the right pieces around him. And first try, Super Bowl. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate y'all for watching. Subscribe, stay tuned. Yes.